Hello, everyone, and welcome to Day 9 of CBC Live at TIFF. It is sadly our last day of CBC Live at TIFF, but it's going to be a good one because we're talking about the best of the fest with our CBC News insiders, Zuleka Nathu, Yelena Adzik, and Eli Glasner. Welcome, guys.
Hey, guys.
All right, also coming up as we live stream here from CBC Toronto, we've got Kurt Browning, Scott Russell, and George Stroumboulopoulos on the show. No big deal. It's going to be a lot of fun, but first, the red carpets kept going, and Eli Glasner was at both of them. Tell us about them. First up, the Face of Love red carpet.
So Face of Love, it was all about Annette Bening. And, one of a good example of someone who, TIFF really gave her career a boost with American Beauty, and now she's back. It's been a while since we've seen Annette Bening. The Face of Love is a really interesting movie. Listen to this idea. You've lost your husband, you meet someone new, but he looks just like your husband. But he's not. And then you're falling in love, but you don't want to explain why that is because it's kind of creepy and strange, and yet the similarities are so close that her character can't ignore it. So
how similar? Because don't we all do that a little bit?
Well, no, but this movie was inspired by the director who actually, that happened to her mother. She lost her husband, and then she saw someone on the street, and she thought, oh my God, there he is. Now, it wasn't him, but that was the seed of the story, and so I think in a way it's something universal that we can all relate to. But I had such a wonderful encounter with her on the red carpet, talking about Ed Harris, who plays the two characters, the husband who dies and then the new guy, and about, how do you get yourself into this role? And she was saying how this was something that she couldn't relate to, but she's an actress. She lost herself in the part, and it was partially due to Ed being, the pro's pro. He was just ever present.
I'm so curious, what was her energy like? Because we know her to be so poised, right? She's so well put together. What was it like in person?
She was almost giddy. I mean, she was so happy, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but she was talking about TIFF and how much she loves the city, about being in a movie theater that is filled with cinephiles and how that makes this festival different.
And you guys got a little deep about acting, so let's take a look at Eli Glasner on the red carpet with Annette Bening.
I loved it when I read it.
Yeah.
And so one of the real pleasures actually of acting is to do things and to have a chance to enter in to something that you haven't experienced.
You lose yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I did feel you're right. It is, part of it is losing yourself, and at the same time, of course, some part of you has to be in some way guiding what's happening, or you would be insane.
Or you'd be lost.
So yeah, and yet there is a kind of, you want to design a way to lose control. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There you go.
I love that she was wearing her glasses on the red carpet. Like, no one else does that. Only she can kind of pull off the intellectual look on this, gala event. Yeah.
Okay, all right, next up, tell us about the Love Punch red carpet.
Oh my God, so it was Pierce Brosnan and Emma Thompson playing basically a divorced couple who come back together to pull off a heist because this company has been taken over and they lost all the retirement money. So it's kind of a silly, frothy heist movie, but they were the power couple of the night, I would say of the festival. You should have seen Emma Thompson. I mean, you think of her as acting royalty. She was, talk about giddy. I mean, she was practically manic.
She seemed like a blast.
She was.
Look at this.
She's lying. Well,
did she have a few before she did this?
You're not the first person to ask that, and I'm not quite sure. Someone did ask her about Sherry, and she denied, but, she just seems so at ease, and she is, I think, one of the most talented actors working in the business today. You don't expect someone like that to be dancing and joking and slipping into funny voices. It was remarkable.
Okay, let's take a look at Emma on the red carpet with Eli.
A lot of the time we're like, what do you want us to do? What? Has anyone, give me a coffee. What's going on? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to wear that. No, please let me eat the cheese. Let me eat the cheese. I'm in France, for God's sake. Then we had a costume designer who kept saying, no, Emma, pas de fromage, pas de fromage, pas de fromage, no, tu peux pas. Okay, so it was like that. But now, tonight, we're celebrating. This is TIFF.
Emma is a unique and iconic woman, and she's a slip of the lass in many ways, and she just knows how to put the performances together so well. We hit the ground running from day one on this film.
That was crazy. That energy was insane, Eli.
Eli, you had a huge night.
Well, I did. The thing about Love Punch is it's not the kind of movie that you'd see at opening day at TIFF. This is just kind of a silly crime caper. I think they know it. I think they realize they're kind of lucky to be in the festival, and so they're just having a ball.
Next up, every day we've been looking at the Canadian talent at the festival, and my goodness, has it been incredible. Last but not least, for today's CIBC Star Moment, we're looking at director Jean-Marc Vallée from Quebec and his film, Dallas Buyers Club, which is already getting mega Oscar buzz. Let's look at Jean-Marc and the cast of the film in today's CIBC Star Moment.
There's a lot of Canadian filmmakers making films in the U.S. and I guess we're driven by material and I'm personally driven by character-driven material and underdogs, as I said, and emotional content and great characters.
He and I have a similar sense of what we would say is quality. Jean is a great listener, very convicted of his own ideas, but open to being convicted back another way, especially if he sees that it was going to help my instrument on that day.
The drugs they just released for testing, and I know this hospital's worth the size and needed.
It doesn't work that way, Mr. Woodruff. I really wanted to work with Jean-Marc. I am a big fan of his movies. Jean-Marc was so facile and so quick on his feet to say, hang on a second, this is seeming sentimental. Cut it. Hang on a second, I see humor there. Let's follow that.
I promise you that I will try my very best.
I want you to mean it.
I think you brought passion. I think you brought a understanding of the material. I think you brought a great working relationship with Mr. Ron Woodruff, Matthew McConaughey. I think you know, he was a wonderful director. He's an actress director.
And now please welcome the man who's had the biggest, the most in-depth one-on-one conversations at TIFF this year. He's very handsome too, Mr. George Stroumboulopoulos. Thank you so much.
Hi.
How fitting to end our show with you, because you've had a hell of a TIFF, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been quite a TIFF. Why? Because I'm just going to blow it up and it's not going to be worth it? Is that what you're saying?
No, because when we're talking about the best of the fest, my goodness, some of the guests that you've had on the show for TIFF to kick off your 10th season.
I think we set a record this year. After today, it'll be 36 interviews that will have in the red chair that will have been done. Yeah, which is like 35 movies seen.
You're just going around the clock, basically?
Just interviewing, screening movies,
I've seen over 30 movies, but I can't imagine doing over 30 interviews.
You know, my head, I started yesterday interviewing people. I was going to ask, I think I was going to ask a question to Xavier Dolan, then I stopped because I think it was part of the research I had for Tom Wilkinson. And then I thought, I don't think Xavier Dolan was a post-war baby in England. My brain started to I've had too many concussions, man.
Yeah.
It's not helping me today.
George, it's pretty funny because we had one of the other CBC Lives. We had the guy who does the audience warm-up for George's show.
Fraser.
Yes, and he is hilarious. And he was saying how you are, as you are throughout the rest of the year, but during the film festival, it's you in a blender. You said it's just a total whirl. So my question to you is, I'm just wondering, how do you kind of get through it? What's the experience like for you?
A long time ago, I removed myself from the process, and I decided and that's going to sound super BS-y to answer this question like this, but I legitimately mean it. I was a kid who was a movie theater usher, and I love movies. So what I do is I sit there across from somebody, and I forget that I'm making a TV show. I remove the audience from the equation, I remove the cameras from the equation, and I just lose myself in the moment. Otherwise, it's just a job, and it's just a sausage factory, and I don't want to do that. You know, and you're interested, I'm talking to really cool people, right? I'm lucky enough to be around people that make, you know, most people, if you have a really bad day, you go home at night and you watch their movie and it makes you smile. That's a really powerful 2-hour experience, that picture. So I want to kind of feel the same way when I go through it. And, you know, generally the interviews accomplish that. Sometimes they're death and they're not that good, but we work really hard to make them good.
Let's look at a quick clip from season 10, promoting the type of people that he's talking about that have sat down with him for interviews right now.
I haven't seen this. Let's go.
He is back this fall.
George, what a humanitarian. It's so great to be on your show.
You got me there.
But I don't know the rules here.
That's really good.
George Stroumboulopoulos returns Monday, September 16th on CBC.
Now, George, I want to talk about that red chair. What do you think the value of that red chair would be at this point, given the butts that have sat in there?
Dude.
Oprah, like, think about it.
If you have an ass fetish, that chair is where it's at, if you do. But, sorry, Luca. But No, you know what's interesting about seeing that clip, even seeing Lawrence Fishburne sitting in that chair, and I'm thinking that guy was in Apocalypse Now, and he was in Boys in the Hood, and he was Morpheus in The Matrix. Like that one guy alone, and Samuel L. Jackson's been in that chair, and Keanu Reeves is coming up in that chair. Patti Smith has been in that chair. We've had, not just Patti Smith, but Vandana Shiva's been in that chair. Deepak Chopra's been in that chair. Sitting across from Deepak Chopra and just looking in his eyes, trying to figure it out. It's fun, right? So if you're really into that kind of thing, then that chair is super valuable, but I'm never letting it go. Never.
What's your number one survival tip? I've seen you at a lot of the parties. I know you've been doing a lot of these interviews. Number one survival tip for no sleep during TIFF and still being at your best.
My number one survival tip makes it a least fun tip. No booze, no drugs. That's the only way to survive TIFF.
Unlike the rest of the year.
Yeah, listen,
But you're always working like that. You never booze or drugs.
I sometimes go with people and they get super, whatever, they're altered states, and I think, how are you going to survive Wednesday? Like, I could never keep up that pace. So I go Buddhist clean. I'm Buddhist clean mostly, but I go Buddhist clean.
Caffeine?
No caffeine.
No,
no caffeine.
Man, come on now.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
No, my adrenal gland will be studied by science. It's not good. It's not good,
because you have to bring it for your interviews. So tell us some of your favorite ones from TIFF this year of those 30-odd ones that you did.
Got to interview Daniel Radcliffe again about this. This is a guy that had obviously a great run on Harry Potter, but look at all the film choices he's made after that. Really powerful films. Michael Dowse. For a lot of times, Canadians oft complain about the English-Canadian film business, saying, how come we don't have films or filmmakers like they have in Quebec? You can't say that anymore.
Yeah.
Between Sarah Polley, Michael Dowse, Don McKellar, two of the best films this year at the festival.
His movie, The F Word, is going to change this business.
100%.
It is going to change what kind of movies people associate with Canada.
Sure, and The Grand Seduction, which Dowse worked on, which is a McKellar film. The era of when will English-Canadian films get there, that's long gone.
And making excuses, having to say, yeah, it's Canadian. No, now they can say, yeah, and it's Canadian.
And then you always, at those parties, see Norman Jewison walking around, and you're like, right, you're the beginning for us.
Yeah. Right.
Like, Jewison is better. Most people of a certain generation haven't seen Heat of the Night. Watch it. Like, it's otherworldly that this Canadian guy steps into a really complicated conversation in the South.
Yeah.
And, that famous, Mr. Tibbs, that whole thing, that's Norman Jewison, man. And you see him kicking around, and then Dowse kicking around, and Sarah Polley kicking around.
Now you got Jean-Marc Vallée teaming up with the Texans to do Dallas Buyers Club. So that next generation is coming up.
For sure, Xavier Dolan's going to make a film in America. Denis Villeneuve, made Prisoners, which has tons of international stars in this thing. We're there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought up America. I have to ask you, the experience of interviewing and doing the whole big thing there versus here?
For me, it was the same because I made them put red chairs there. So on a black floor, like I sincerely said, here's what the chair should look like. Make sure the floor is this color. I don't largely care what happens around after that. The difference is the audience in the studio. Because in Canada, when you do a show, in our show, it's people come to see us and see the guests, and we all show up. In America, I can't tell which of the audience wants to be there, which of the audience are extras that got hired to be there.
Who's just looking for Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, totally, man. Like, I'll sit there looking at somebody, like, what are you reading? Oh, you're reading your script. Oh, you're an actor, and you're showing up because, how much you get for this? Like, I'm getting $40. Amazing.
So, as you can see, George, people come out for you, right,
No
guys?
script.
Yes. And let me say the same thing about the guests, because they come to you, whether you're in the States or here. You are the must-do interview, and you have been for 10 years. And George's team was nice enough to give us a sneak peek of one of those interviews from TIFF with JGL, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Let's take a look at that right now.
Themes of sexuality that are in this film, and imagery, pornography. And then, I read your mother's blog, and she tackles it head on with pictures of sexuality and all that, and about how advertisements reach our brains. Did you learn stuff like this from your family when you were growing up?
Sure, yeah. Well, my mom and dad are very much, people who were active in the 60s and 70s in feminist movements as well as civil rights or anti-war movements, and I think they raised my brother and me to have some of those values and to think of women not just as sex objects, even though lots of images in the media are constantly saying that. Certainly not just pornography, perfectly mainstream images.
Here's one that she put up that's so powerful, that the image show only parts of a sexualized person's body, and it's a car on a girl's face, right? And it's a really great, it's a great thing that she did.
Yeah, that's funny. This is, you read my mom's Tumblr.
Look at it, man.
It's really funny.
Because it's smart.
It is smart, you're right.
He's grounded, man.
All right, so you knew Joseph Gordon-Levitt's mother's blog. Is this one of the reasons why people are saying the types of things that they are about you? Stroumboulopoulos tweeted some quotes from your interviews during the festival, like Jason Reitman saying, Can we see a picture of that tweet? You are truly the most impressive Canadian.
No, we don't need to see that.
Yeah, there
No,
they
we don't
are.
see that,
And
yeah.
then Michael Dowse was talking about the Strombo show, how it's had a massive influence on him. What does this feel like? And also, yeah, exactly. And
no,
also
it's not
George, when there's two sides of a red carpet, there's the interviewer's side, but George is walking the carpet. What is that like for you to also be a celebrity at TIFF?
No, I don't feel like I am. Walking a red carpet is super weird to me. I try to sneak by. There's no reason to. Plus, what I know is I spend most of the time on a red carpet. All the other people that put a microphone in my face, they work for competing broadcasters that will never air it, so I know it's a waste of time. But it's, it's like, oh, the person from CTV wants to talk to you. Why? You're never going to put it on the air. But, no, people are... what I like about the guests that come on our show, they let us explore. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt makes this movie that deals with masculinity, pornography, who you are, how you identify with somebody that you're interested in. And then you realize that his mother, when they were kids, they used to watch the Lakers game, and the cheerleaders would come out, and his mother would roll her eyes and go, oh, great. So we celebrate the men as athletes, as these strong forces, and then the women come out and do a song and dance show. And just, that kind of conversation as a child is going to influence him later, and so you see it in his film. So I like kind of making those connections. If our show was just to serve celebrity, I don't think I'd be any good at it. I'm not that interested in that part of the conversation, but I like diving in a little bit. The Michael Dowse clip is because the radio show is my favorite thing that I do in my life. Sunday nights at 8 o'clock on Radio 2. But listen, for now, no commercials. For now. I think that's going to change.
All right, I want to save this a little bit and get everyone's best moments from the festival really quickly.
All right, talking about Jason Reitman, I pulled a Nardwuar. I ambushed him at the interview for Labor Day. There is a prop. Nardwuar, the human serviette, hopefully you know him, one of Canada's greatest journalists. There's a prop that shows up in Labor Day. It's an old video game console that the young boy is playing. I have that. So I brought it to the interview to start things off. Take a look.
And I just got my hands on this.
Oh, wow.
Now that sadly
By the way, this is a very Nardwuarian moment. I mean, that's legit.
Yeah.
Where did you find this?
So I used to play that. And
this was yours?
This was my Donkey Kong.
Oh my God.
And I remember distinctly car trips to Florida and just running that baby down.
Right.
And so this appears in the film.
Until you drain.
Yeah, exactly. There's a special sound. There's a sound that the little sound chip makes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And when I heard that,
that's amazing.
In the movie, I was transported.
That's when you knew. I cared about the details.
And that got him talking about the relationship with his father, Ivan Reitman, who was always away shooting movies. So he grew closer with his mother, which led him to the story of Labor Day. Great.
Very cool. And you've got it right here,
And
which
this is
cool.
it. This is it. Doesn't work. It was left out in the rain, sadly, but here it is.
Yelena, what was your best moment?
Okay, there are so many, but one of the interviews that just really stood out because of how utterly candid it was. I'm on the red carpet live, okay? This is live TV, it's news, local, and they try to keep emphasizing they're family friendly. Julia Roberts, I get to talk to her about August Osage County. This is a movie that has her opposite Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep plays her mother, hugely dysfunctional kind of family. And so I just wanted, as an interviewer, you're always trying to get something that's a little bit personal. You don't want to be nosy, but you want to get insightful, right? So I asked her, how has this film, the experience of making it, changed the way that you see your own relationship with your mother, right? And she said to me, oh, it hasn't done that at all. And she seemed kind of offended, and I thought, oh, I screwed up, it's over, it's done. And then she turns around and says this to me, and she's totally in the game, and she's having fun. So this is what she says about the difference between her mother and the mother on screen, played by Meryl Streep.
My mother's not a drunken bitch. Oh, we're live. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I really do.
Julia Roberts, this is a family show.
I'm kidding. No, I love my mom so much. I shouldn't have said that. We're live. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, in her red dress, my mother's not a drunken bitch. I was
super punk rock and awesome there, right? She leans with her shoulder first,
It was very Aaron Brockovich of her, and you know what? I realized that is kind of her thing. She really isn't. She is
unfiltered,
so yes,
right?
Yes, she is raw and unfiltered, and it made me love her even more. So that was a good moment.
Zuleka, what was yours?
So I had a good interview moment with Taylor Schilling. You might not recognize the name, but she's the star who plays Piper Chapman in that Netflix hugely popular show, Orange is the New Black. She's also in an independent film called Stay, which is at TIFF. So I was chatting with her, and I kind of, asked her, well, how do you choose your scripts now that you're sort of becoming more and more exposed? Because the last thing you want at this stage is to become overexposed and, you know, having too many things come your way, not making the right decisions. And what I realized is that she's still a little green in terms of answering questions. She's not as polished as some of the other ones. So even though a lot of actors, you know, it's sort of like, okay, think you're the big movie star and you will be, right? So they kind of conduct themselves in a certain way. She just sort of says, you know what? I actually don't get that many scripts my way, so I'm kind of still grateful that I have the work. Unfortunately, we don't have the tape, but I thought it was a very honest moment, and it was kind of nice to see, you know?
Super fun. George, really quickly, what was yours?
Last night at the Playback Magazine Awards, they were, you know, the Hall of Fame, they were honoring some of the great Canadians, and you could see people like just incredible filmmakers and television makers over time, but I was able to introduce David Suzuki, and, you know, David Suzuki gets the Swarovski Humanitarian Award, and I remember, I didn't write anything about what I was going to say, but it kind of dawned on me that in the late 70s, when he joined Nature of Things, in the late 70s, the Brits had Joe Strummer and Johnny Rotten, and the Americans had Patti Smith and Bruce Springsteen and Dylan and Joey Ramone, and in Canada in the late 70s, we had a punk rock icon in Suzuki, and David Suzuki gets on stage and takes the opportunity to just hammer. And the Playback Awards were so cool because no one else is honoring Canadians genuinely the way they do, and you know, breakout stars and old school stars and filmmakers of English and French Canada, and Suzuki gets on and goes, bam, starts pointing fingers and giving it to everybody, and I thought, he still is super punk rock, so no matter how old you ever get, may you never be polished, right? May you always have that edge to you. Yeah.
Amen.
So rare. It's
Absolutely.
so rare.
We were on that red carpet last night, so we're going to find out a little bit about Playback. Congratulations on 10 years. Guys, if you want to see...
Congratulations to you as well, and everybody. Thank you.
Yeah,
And to you.
good TIFF, everyone. If you want to see George again live, go to cbc.ca/Strombo for tickets and take a look at last night's Playback Gala red carpet.
We're outside Sea Lounge in Toronto, and again, ready to celebrate the Playback Awards. It'll be a very exciting night tonight. There's a great David Suzuki and many get honored, and it'll be a nightclub in there for sure.
There's a lot of celebrities and a lot of industry professionals, and it's just a very exciting event to be a part of.
I think it's great for people in the industry that there is this TV Film Hall of Fame, and I think, you know, I'll have a good time because I never go out, so I guess I'll see some people that I like.
I'm thinking it's a very good thing and an encouraging thing. It means that we're actually doing enough stuff, that there are enough people in the industry to honor in the way they've done for the last, what is it, now 7 years? It's the 7th anniversary. So there are a number of people, you know, who've been through this, and there's still more to go, so I'm encouraged.
What I like about these awards is they have things like the Humanitarian Award, and it's people like Gary Slate that have won it, and people like David Suzuki that win it. And that's what Playback does. I'm honored to be a part of it. Happy to do it.
All right, TIFF has been an incredible kickoff to fall, and we're about to go into the premieres of some amazing shows on the CBC, including the return of Battle of Blades, and of course, winter is coming, and so are the Winter Olympics on CBC. And here to talk about both with us are Kurt Browning and Scott Russell. Guys, take us into the rest of the year now that TIFF is on the close.
Jamie, I just want to say I was happy to loan you my set here at CBC Sports Weekend for this entire TIFF festival. Take a look at all those great Canadian athletes over there, everybody. How about Kevin Martin, gold medal in curling, Tessa Virtue, Scott Moyer, gold medal in figure skating at the last Olympic Games. Can't wait for the Olympics coming up in Sochi. We begin February 7th, and the Olympic season begins on CBC Sports Weekend. Hold on, I'm talking.
And will he be able to maintain this energy all the way through to the end of February? And he will.
This is the warm-up.
Yeah. No, October the 19th, we begin the Olympic season on Sports Weekend, so looking forward to it. It's the greatest recurring spectacle on the face of the earth.
How many Olympics have you covered?
I have covered 11 Olympic Games, number 12, Sochi. Can't wait.
He's only 32.
Yeah.
Guys, how's Sochi going to measure up, and what Canadian athletes should we have our eyes on?
This will be my first experience at the Olympics on the reporter side of things.
Not being in it.
Yeah.
Not being in it, getting the clothes, and you know what? For me, the Olympics are a very emotional journey because I did the journey 3 times as an athlete, and also an athlete that was sort of right in the scrum, right in the middle of the potential medal moment, and so I've seen the Olympics from all the different emotions, and now I'm going to see it from this side of the microphone. So I'm super pumped. And who to watch for? Who to watch for?
Who to watch for? Yeah, and I mean, Kurt will tell you this. Patrick Chan in figure skating, of course, looking to become the first Canadian male to win a gold medal in figure skating at the Olympics. Tessa Virtue, Scott Moyer in the ice dance. Eric Gay, his picture's up there as well in the men's downhill and all the speed races. Our curlers, of course, the men's and women's hockey teams There are so many great athletes. One of the premier athletes right now for Canada is a woman who drives Canada 1 bobsleigh. Her name is Kaylee Humphries, 2 times in a row the world champion, and she also won 8 races in a row last year, along with a woman named Chelsea Valois. So watch for Kaylee Humphries in Sochi.
And you just hope and pray that 4-year repeating calendars that you rip off, then it takes 4, but it's a lifetime for these athletes. We wait as fans 4 years for the Olympics, but the athletes wait their whole life. And when somebody is that successful and that special, you just cross your fingers and hope that it all comes together for them.
Well, it might have been, pretty scary for a lot of those athletes at one point, wondering what was going to happen with all of the news about the anti-gay propaganda laws, people calling for boycotts. What's your take on how the world has reacted to that?
Personally, I think that you have to measure the tipping scale between what is right globally and what is happening to the athletes themselves. I was one of the athletes, and if somebody would have taken it away from me, I think unless I was personally involved with what was happening, I would have been crushed. But there's bigger pictures. I'm glad this one's going through. I really do, and I think that there'll be many athletes that can make statements there that will have a better audience than they would have if they'd have moved.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting situation, but the bottom line is that the Olympic Games are there to be the guardian of high-performance sport. They are an athletic competition and the height of human endeavor. And by Olympic charter, athletes are not allowed to make any demonstration for any cause. And therefore, the Olympic Games are meant to be that competition, that global movement where the world comes together, and a boycott hurts nobody except the athletes.
And when I say be able to go there and make a statement for their cause, being there is the statement.
All right, moving on to Battle of the Blades.
Battle of the Blades.
What's new this season? And we're so glad you're back, by the way.
The only competition in the world that is on par with the level of the Olympics, of course, is the battle of hockey players trying to become figure skaters. Battle of the Blades is fun, and it's Canadiana wrapped up in a riddle. It's hockey and figure skating, those 2 sports that have to share the ice rink. And I was on both sides. I would quickly change into my hockey gear and become the hockey player, and then complain about my own holes on the ice that I made. So it was very confusing for me, and I think that's what Battle of the Blades does, is it gives everybody on the couch in the family something to talk about to each other, that a common ground to talk about. Honey, do you know really what this hockey player did in his career? But do you know why Jessica Dubé is so wonderful? And blah, 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 and away you go.
You know what the thing for me, and I'm not a part of Battle of the Blades, but I am a huge fan of Battle of the Blades. But I just would remind you, Kurt, and everybody here, Jamie, I want to make this perfectly clear. Battle of the Blades, that has an Olympic connection because it came from the 1988 Games, the Battle of the Bryans in figure skating between Brian Orser and Brian Boitano. It was the most wonderful drama on ice, and here's the great thing about Battle of the Blades, and I love it, is that in figure skating, and the hockey players are learning this quick, when you're on the ice, you're out there alone, everybody can see your mistakes. You can't take one shift off if you're in figure skating, and that's the beauty of Battle of the Blades. I love it.
And you have a new role at Battle of the Blades. We just announced it. Tell us.
This morning. So my old role was to help Ron MacLean along with the show. So Ron MacLean is the host of the show. He's our wonderful connection to the world of hockey through Battle of the Blades. And I was the figure skating liaison, sort of. And I just mentioned to Sandra Bezic, the producer and basically creator, I said, I might like to try a hand at judging this year if things shake up. And she thought, I never thought you'd want to judge. But I am now judging,
Of course,
so I am.
That's
why I'm growing some scruff so I can toughen up.
What about how are you and Jamie Saleh and PJ Stopp going to get along judging together?
PJ is going to be
the Simon Cowell? That's what I want to know.
I'm probably. That's why I'm trying to grow some scruff. They're going to fill it in for me and cover the gray. But I think I'm going to be the most serious one. Jamie and PJ are very funny people. I've known Jamie Saleh since she was 8. We're going to fight. We're just going to fight. I know that's going to happen. And we're going to try to, we're going to have to duct tape PJ down to keep him from trying to be over funny. But that's the challenges I have to face.
You're all funny.
It'll be fun.
I cannot wait. All right, everybody, Battle of the Blades premieres Sunday, September 29th at 8 p.m. Here's a little something to get you in the mood. Thanks so much, guys.
Athletes never lose that desire to compete. They can never replace the high of performance. And this gives it to them again.
wait to see those guys back on the ice, and we're going to find out which hockey players and which figure skaters are doing it very soon. All right. Leah Collins from CBC Live has been hitting the swag lounges all festival to get swag for you guys and for our fans online at CBC Live. And this is the swag bag to end all swag bags. Tell them how they can get it.
Well, first, I need to get it up here.
Get it on up there.
Ultimate
Ow.
swag
All right.
bag.
So what we have right now is from the Essentials Lounge by EGPR. We've got an HP
Wait, let me
slate.
just say, this is a portion. Like, the
Oh
thing
my
is
gosh.
huge. It's worth $1,600.
Yeah, there's a full list of everything that's in it if you go to cbclive.ca, and that's where you can enter the contest.
Who gets it? Who gets to get it?
Well, the Essentials Lounge is actually for media. It's not for stars at all, unless you count people like people on this panel as stars.
I gotta go.
Yeah, but they host it every Toronto Film Festival. So again, if you go to cbclive.ca, you can enter for a chance to win this bag, which again is $1,600 approximately retail value. We've got a Nike Fuel band, a lot of cosmetics from people like Aveda and Elizabeth Grant, and
Is
a
it a tablet?
the Slate from HP. So there's a lot more in there. Again, if you go to cbclive.ca, you can enter the contest there. We'll have it running all week.
That looks super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we've also got some other,
I'm
we got
gonna
tons of
enter.
prizes for you guys in the audience today. We're going to tell you at the end of the show how to win that. One of them is the book Still Life, signed by the cast of the movie, which is going to be on CBC Sunday at 8 p.m. So check that out. You can win this and other prizes today. And that's our show for TIFF this year. Can you believe it? What a great time it's been with all you guys. And don't
Jamie,
forget,
you're such a good host.
well, you know what? You can get more of us because we've gone behind the scenes at all the big CBC shows that are premiering very soon. So be sure to check out cbc.ca/live every single day at CBC Live on Twitter, and we'll
thank
see
you
you
guys for
there.
coming out.
Thank you guys for coming out every day. Thank you guys. We'll see you there.